As Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi lands in India for the BRICS summit, one big question hangs over Indian foreign policy. Can India continue balancing Iran and Israel at the same time? Or is the world slowly forcing countries to choose sides? The easy answer floating around in some strategic circles is this: India should distance itself from Israel. Why? Because India needs energy security, because Gulf stability matters, because of domestic political optics, because of the wider Muslim world, because of the global South narrative. But here's the problem. That argument assumes that the world still works in binaries. It does not, and India knows it. Let's understand the scale of this balancing act. India has deep ties with Iran. Historically, Tehran mattered to India not just for oil, but strategically. In 1994, Iran refused to support a Pakistan-backed anti-India resolution on Kashmir at the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. At a time when many Islamic countries aligned with Pakistan, Iran chose a different path. Even during the recent Hormuz tensions, Iran reportedly helped several India-flagged tankers move safely through dangerous waters. For a country importing massive amounts of crude oil, that matters a lot. And then comes the other side of the equation: Israel. India's ties with Israel today are no longer symbolic. They are strategic, technological, military, and deeply institutionalized. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's landmark visit to Israel transformed the relationship into a very public partnership. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu recently described his own India visit as a love fest, quote unquote that. And beyond the political warmth lies something much more important: capability. Israeli systems have become deeply embedded inside India's defense architecture. Systems that matter during real wars. Systems that India has depended on during moments of crisis. So here is India's dilemma. Iran matters, Israel matters, and both are sworn enemies. Which means Araghchi's visit is not just a diplomatic engagement. It is a stress test for India's foreign policy model. Now here's where the conversation gets slightly interesting, because many still frame this debate as a simple Iran versus Israel choice. But the Middle East itself no longer sees the region that way. The Abraham Accords changed the game entirely. The UAE normalized ties with Israel. Bahrain did too. Saudi Arabia may not have formally recognized Israel yet, but quiet engagement exists. Arab states increasingly work with Israel economically, technologically, strategically. Which means this old argument that India must choose between the Arab world and Israel is already outdated. The region itself has moved on. The real world today is about overlapping partnerships, not ideological camps. And India's foreign policy increasingly reflects exactly that. But let's strip away theory for a moment. Forget diplomatic statements, forget summit declarations. Look at what happens during war. Kargil, 1999. India was fighting Pakistani intruders in brutal mountain terrain. Supplies were tight, sanctions constrained India's options, time was running out. And Israel stepped in, quietly, quickly, effectively. Israel supplied precision-guided munitions, surveillance systems, drones, mortar and ammunition to India at a critical moment. According to multiple accounts, including Nicholas Barrell's work on India-Israel relations, Israel even supplied laser-guided systems that helped the Indian Air Force conduct precision strikes without crossing the line of control. That mattered enormously at the time. Because India's political leadership had imposed strict operational limits, the IAF could not cross the LOC. Precision became essential, and Israel delivered. This wasn't even the first time. Back in 1971, before full diplomatic ties even existed, Israel quietly supplied India with military equipment during the India-Pakistan War. This is why countries remember reliability. In geopolitics, speeches matter less than behavior during a crisis. Today, the India-Israel partnership goes far beyond buying weapons. This is about co-development, joint innovation, shared technology ecosystems. Barak missile systems, Falcon AWACS, Heron drones, Spike anti-tank missiles, Green Pine radar systems. These are not random imports sitting in warehouses. These systems are integrated into India's military structure. One of the biggest examples is the Barak 8 missile system, jointly developed by Israel Aerospace Industries and India's DRDO. The partnership represents something deeper than procurement. It represents capability, creation. India and Israeli engineers build together, test together, innovate together. And here's the key point. You cannot replace such relationships overnight. Countries are not Amazon suppliers. Strategic ecosystems take decades to build. If India suddenly distances itself from Israel, it does not simply lose access to equipment, it loses accumulated know-how. And in an era of drone warfare, AI-enabled combat and missile defense races, losing technological momentum can become a national security problem. Now zoom out even further, because this relationship is no longer just bilateral. It is becoming regional architecture. Take imec, the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, a massive proposed connectivity corridor linking India to Europe, going through UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and yes, Israel. Or take I2U2, the grouping involving India, Israel, the UAE, and the United States. Some analysts have even called it the West Asian Quad. These projects matter because they place India inside the economic future of West Asia, not outside it. And Gulf countries themselves increasingly see Israel as part of regional connectivity and economic transformation. Again, the region is changing and India is adapting accordingly. But none of this means India can ignore Iran either. Far from it. India needs Iran strategically because Iran offers something geography cannot easily replace: access. Iran is India's gateway to Afghanistan, Central Asia, and beyond without passing through Pakistan. That is why Chabahar port matters so much. Located on Iran's southeastern coast, Chabahar gives India strategic reach into Eurasia while bypassing Pakistani territory. India has invested heavily into developing the port because connectivity is power. And in the larger India-China competition, projects like Chabahar also offer a counterweight to Beijing Belt and Road Initiative, which means India cannot afford to lose Iran either. And this is where India's actual strategy becomes clear. India refuses to hyphenate relationships. It engages Israel, it engages Iran, it supports Palestinian rights, it works with the Gulf monarchies, all simultaneously. This is strategic autonomy in practice. Not neutrality, not fence-sitting, strategic autonomy. As Abbas Araghchi arrives in India, New Delhi's message is becoming increasingly clear. India will talk to everyone, partner with everyone, trade with everyone, but ultimately align with one thing alone: its own interests. Because in today's fractured world, countries that survive are not the ones choosing camps blindly. They are the ones building leverage everywhere. And India is trying to do exactly that. Stay tuned to Times Axis and keep watching the world through India's lens.